right. All right. Hi there. I guess we're live. And if there's someone out there, please let me know if the sound is all right. And let's wait for more people to join in. I think there are some people. I really don't see anybody's name who's here. But if you're there, hi there. Let's wait for some more people to jump into the live stream. I've done one live stream before. It was Christmas Eve and it was with the phone and I messed it up a bit and the connection got broken. So and I didn't see anybody who was on my live view on my live stream. So that was kind of bummer that I could not say hi to. Well, okay. Hi, Matti. And there is Christina and Christian from Vienna. So how is life in Vienna right now? And Rambling Tog. When is the EM5 Mark III coming out? I have to say that I saw the rumors today first time. I have no idea when it comes out, but I have the EM5 Mark II, and it's one of my favorite go-to cameras. So I really hope that they do have the Mark III version out. And as the Olympus executive said, that they are planning to release EM5 Mark III, and I hope it will come out soon, but I don't know when. Sorry. All right, somebody from Ohio, Rob from Ohio. Hi there. And Australia, that's a long way. So how is must be summer in Australia, is it? Someone from Michigan, USA, Bristol, Germany, and Dortmund, Germany, New Zealand. Whoa, Kansas, USA, all over the way. Oh, excuse me, all over the way. John Sousa from New York. Hi there, John. You've been commenting actively on my videos. Thank you for that, John. And let's see, did I miss someone? No, I guess let's see, AM5 is kind of overdue for an update. Yeah, hopefully it will come out before holiday season. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it was 2015 when the AM5 Mark II came, and I think it's overdue. And the reason, actually, what they say that it's been delayed because they've been changing the manufacturing from China to Vietnam, and they're building a new factory, I guess, in Vietnam, or new assembly line or whatever, and that has taken some time. And I guess another reason has been the EM1X that also might have taken some resources from the R&D. But as I said, the M5 is coming. Let's see if there are more people coming. Yeah, there are a lot of time zones, Christina. Oh, there's somebody from Vasa. And did you know that I was actually born in Vasa? I don't know if you knew that. And now there's somebody from Nicaragua. This is crazy. Whoa. From Portugal. Hi there, Vicaccio. Or did I say your name right? And the reason that I'm doing this live today is usually I'm posting a video today, but actually what happened, I had a very busy day and I was planning on doing the video record and edit in the afternoon, but I was actually doing the photo shoot today and it was stills for a commercial film. It's an advertisement film or commercial film that they were filming, and I was doing the stills and they were running very late with the schedule. So I just got home like 3 hours ago and I just decided that, hey, I'm going live. And then there's another reason. I hit 10,000 subscribers today. Actually, I've done it twice now because it went over to 10,000 and then it came back a few, I don't know, minus 10. So it was 9,990 for a while. And then it came back to 10,000. And now some of my analytics say it's 10,003 and some say it's 9,997. So I don't know if it's 10,000. But anyways, it's a huge amount. And I'm so glad and so happy that you people are subscribing to my channel. It makes my heart warm to be able to give you something back. Because as I've said before, I've gotten so much from YouTube in past years, so it's really nice that I am able to give something back too. And let's see, there's lots and lots of people coming in. That's really great. There's someone from, somebody has just gotten his EM1X. That's a great camera, good choice. And Oh, yeah, it could be. Somebody's asking if the factory change has something to do with this continuing pen F. I think it could be. Yes, that's possible. I haven't heard why they discontinued pen F. I hope they could make a pen F Mark II, because I think pen F is one of the best cameras for street photography. And I personally don't have one, but maybe I will get, if they get a pen F Mark II, then maybe I will get one. And let's see what else we can hear. Oh, there's somebody from Italy, Sweden, Umeå, Sweden, Mike Osinski from, it doesn't say where he's from. This is really, it's going fast. I can't read all the comments, but I'm really glad that you all are commenting. Congratulations, John Kalbeck. Thank you very much. And John Souza, how do you find the Olympus workspace? You just downloaded it. How do you feel? And then we have KC. Oh, somebody's working for Olympus medical part. Yeah, I don't know if you people know that, but Olympus is very big in medical cameras, actually. And the funny thing is that the most likely, if you need to have some kind of filming inside your stomach, you probably need to swallow an Olympus camera. And I always said that I hope that I never have to swallow an Olympus camera. But if I have to, then I'm glad it's an Olympus. And let's see what we have here. And somebody from Denmark. So we got lots and lots of people from all over the world. And if you have any questions, please, I'm here for as long as the questions keep coming up. And I've been using this EM1 X for a couple of days now. I had this over Christmas holiday, but we had some friends over from the States here in Finland to celebrate Christmas with us. So I did not have that much time to play around. So now I've been playing around, and actually I made the photo shoot today with this camera, and it performed really nicely. And I really liked the way that the mirrorless, I could have I was able to make the images at the same time when they were filming, because I could have the silent mode on this, like any mirrorless cameras could do. And it actually saved a lot of time, so they didn't have to set up the whole thing for stills at all, because I could just stand right next to the camera for the film camera. They used the Blackmagic Ursa, so I could stand right next to the cameraman and see from the monitor the cropping that he made, and I could use exactly the same cropping. So they have actually, for the advertisement where they releasing the film, and then they have a campaign in social media, so they can actually use exactly the same kind of pictures they have in the film. So that's really great, and that's one of the reasons that they picked me for that. I've done that for them for many years now, because they always make a couple of commercials a year, one in fall and one in the spring. So that was really nice and great. And let's see if we've got any questions. Yeah, thank you for congratulating me. And somebody's asking if the EM10 is very sensitive to bad conditions, and as he says, it's not weather sealed, but I've never used it in very heavy rain. But of course, a little light rain could not hurt, but I would be very careful and try at least to protect it some way. It's because it's not weather sealed. It's not guaranteed that it will last very well in a bad weather. And of course, if you have it in, let's say it's freezing cold, then when you take it indoors, the good thing is to just let it be in the camera bag and let it warm up before taking it out of the camera bag, before it will collect some fog or get foggy and wet, and then that might cause some troubles because it's not weather sealed. Lots and lots of comments. I should have, okay, somebody from Canada. And somebody says, okay, John, you will stick with your Mark II. And that's, yeah, it's a Mark II. It's a very good camera still. It has not gotten any worse because of the new cameras. You always have to remember that the old cameras, they don't get any worse. They're still very good cameras, even though there are new models. And And to be honest, this is quite heavy and big for a Micro Four Thirds camera. But on the other hand, this is very, very good to hold in your hand because it's actually the same way. It doesn't matter which way you have it. You got all the, can you see this? Let me turn it from the light. You got all the same, what do you call these buttons and the joysticks and everything is exactly the same. It's a very good to hold in your hand. And I had this on my hand all day and it wasn't very bad. But if I would go out and do some street photography, I would grab the Mark II version because it's more handy and in that sense and not that big. But it was quite good to have this. And the battery, I took almost 1,500 photographs, and the first battery ran out around 1,200. And I'm not a big chimper, so I don't really use the back screen. I usually have it. Wait a minute, I need to turn it to the light like this. I usually have it like this, so I'm not a bad chimper. So what they said about almost 3,000 shots, I think it's a bit overrated because I got about 1,200 shots with one battery. So that's not the almost 3,000 it's a bit overrated, I would say. Let's see. Hi, somebody from Poland. Hi there. Switzerland. And I'm sorry I can't, say all the names. And somebody says that they see 10,003. Yeah, that's probably it. I don't know what happened. Sorry. I said something that Siri woke up in my phone. Sorry about that. I don't know what it was. And somebody said it goes perfect. Yeah, hi Vios. Soups, how do you say that? Okay, you can't stay. No worries. There will be live stream because it's actually quite fun. And the funny thing is that I was quite nervous before the live show. I was, 5 minutes before I was walking around the living room. I was a bit nervous because I don't know if, just figure out that I don't have anything to say, but I'm really happy that there are so many comments and so many people around. I don't know if there's any number that how many 54. Whoa. I said that I'm happy if there are going to be 10 watching. Now there's 54 alive. That's a huge amount. Thank you so much. I'm really glad. Thank you. And yeah, Henrik Silva says that Olympus workspace is great, but quite slow. Yeah, that's what I figured when I made a small review of the workspace program. Yes, it was quite slow, and that was a bit downside. But otherwise, it's a very good program. If you don't want to invest in Adobe programs or Adobe software, then workspace works nicely. If you don't do if you're just a enthusiast or hobbyist, then I think workspace works very well if you can stand the slowness of the software. But that's something that I think Olympus should address and make it a bit faster. Oh, good morning from New Zealand. Well, good evening. It's 10 p.m. in Finland, so you just woke up. I'm glad. So you're having your morning coffee, Paul Bevan, that was. Okay, this guy or whatever is the name that it or what whatever it's pronounced, that you got the OM10 Mark II and you like to get the 75mm f1.8. Yes, that's a very good lens, and it's a very nice lens for portraits. It's a bit long for portraits because the thing is that when you have the 75mm, you have to be quite far away from the model, and there sometimes might be the connection between you and the model a bit interrupted because you're so far away. So 45mm. So consider and check out the 45mm 1.8. That could work better, and it's a bit smaller lens, but definitely 75. The image quality is stunning. It's one of my favorite lenses. Will you try a wildlife photography video? So Joe Morano, I was asking if I could do a video about wildlife photography. I could, but to be honest, I'm not a wildlife photographer. Sorry. it's not something. Maybe I could, if I could get somewhere where there is actually to a safari in Africa, maybe I could do a video about me goofing up and trying to photograph the lions. I always, when I talk about photography, I think the word shoot is a bad. I'm not shooting lions. I'm taking photographs of the lions, maybe. But we'll see. If I have a chance, I will make a video. Oh, thank you, Kerto Glenn. So you found. I hope you enjoy my content. There's lots and lots of content about photography and mostly Olympus cameras, but there are some photography tutorials also. So I hope you can find something useful and learn new things. Oh, somebody was talking about the Luminar software. Yes, I've heard a lot of good things about Luminar. And then there is one that's a bit kind of like for nerds, is the Darktable. If you have never heard of software called Darktable, try that. That's almost exactly like Lightroom, but it's free and it's an open source program. So sometimes it might need some tweaking and stuff like that. That's why I don't use it, because I'm very bad with code, and I can't, make the, what do you call them? I can't find the word, but programming, it's something that I don't have really never done that much. So that wasn't for me. But definitely, if you know your way around codes and stuff, then try Darktable. But Luminar is another one. I've never used Luminar, but I've heard very, very good things about it. And somebody was, it was Eric Burmans who was suggesting it, I guess. Okay, so Raymond, you have tested the EM1X in Austria 2 times, and you liked it. What was the best thing you liked about it? What was the thing that you really liked? Yes, you said it's incredible. What was incredible about it? We want to hear. Okay, don't go to Africa. You will be, or you get addicted. Yeah, I've heard that. So I've never been actually to Africa, so I have not, not an opinion on that if you get addicted. But I've heard that once you get there, you want to go there again. So that's probably true. All right. And somebody was asking about the 40 to 150 millimeter f4 to f5.6. And it's a good alternative lens for if you don't want to get the pro version. And I've actually, that one of the lenses that I have not tested yet, but I will. But I've heard that it's very capable. It's a bit dark on the 150 millimeter side, but if you can cope with that, then I bet it's a very good value for the money. Okay, let's see what Henrik Silva from Portugal is asking. It's about Olympus 7-14 2.8, and to use filters to spend the price of the lens, or the Panasonic Leica 7-14 2.8 to 4 millimeters. I've never tested the Panasonic lens, so I can't really say. Most likely, it's a very good lens, and I don't know about the price. Always when there's this word Leica or Leica in a lens or in a camera, it's probably pretty good. So if you have a chance to test them, then do. And the problem with 7 and 14 millimeter Olympus 2.8 lenses is the filters, because it's so wide, and it's a big and bulky lens in macro four thirds world, and to have the filters in front, you need a special adapter and very big filters, and those aren't very cheap. So in that sense, it all depends on the cost also. So that you get the best value for money. It's no use buying something expensive. It's more wise to buy something that is very good value for the money, and that's my opinion on that. There's lots and lots of excuse me. I have a little sore throat here now because I'm talking too much, actually. Kimage Ultimate, the great editing program. Never heard of that. That's something that I need to check out. Thank you, John. for pointing that out. Okay, somebody from Germany. I'm still using 50 to 200 SVD on my M11. Is it worth? Yeah, if you're happy with it, then it's worth. Of course, you'd have to decide yourself. And I think it's a good lens, and most likely you will be doing okay with that, because it was actually about the cameras. It was today I was asking the cameraman. Then I was doing a photo shoot where I was making the stills for a commercial film that we're filming today, and I was there. I just got back a few hours ago, so that's why I'm doing a live today instead of a regular video, because I did not have time that I planned to do it in the afternoon. But the guy said that I was asking him, because last time, a year ago, when I was there last time doing the same thing, he had some Arri camera, and now he had a Blackmagic Ursa. And I asked him why, and he said, of course, okay, it was a bit cheaper. Excuse me. It's a bit cheaper, and he said he would prefer Arri. But then, yet again, he said that there are 1,000 things more important than the camera, and with this Blackmagic Ursa, he could do the film as good as with the Arri, but it was his preference to use Arri instead. So that's why it's always about the gear. If you're happy with your gear, then go with it, and don't buy anything if you don't actually need it. Usually, if you want to get better in photography, it's not about buying new gear. It's about making images, learning about images, watching YouTube videos, reading books, watching photographs, looking at photographic books. As you can see, there's tons of those in my back. And then make images and have the images so that you can get them reviewed somewhere. And that will make it a lot better. And let's see if there are any new questions here. And somebody said, this is an interesting question. Well, all right, my lovely wife is bringing me some water. Thank you. That was nice. She's probably watching this. Thank you, Christina. And well, where was I? Do you ever lack motivation for creating photographs? And if so, how do you overcome this? Well, that's a nice and interesting question, because, of course, the biggest obstacle, or the biggest thing to be a professional photographer, is that you have marked a gig in a calendar. Let's say that, like I had today, on Tuesday at 9 o'clock, I have to be there. And they decide that I have to be creative at 9 o'clock today when starting making the image. Of course, it was 5 hours late, so it was in the afternoon I had to be creative. But it's not, if I don't feel creative, I still have to make the images. And that's most likely the biggest and the hardest thing to be a professional photographer, is that you need to be motivated. And of course, if you're not making good image, or the images are not good enough, you won't be there next time. So of course, in that sense, I have to be honest, money is the motivation on that time. But then, of course, if you have a hobbyist, then I can understand the problem of lack of time, for example. And what I would suggest, that if you have an urge and need to make images, like I have, I need to have make images, because that's what I love. And then try to, if you're not motivated, then try to go and start shooting images or making images. Just photograph anything that you see, or make a kind of like a project for yourself, and start just making images. And I think that's a good way, very good way of starting to get motivation back. And then when you start making images and you see, hey, I had a good image on this, this was nice and everything, then you get your motivation back. So it's about just doing it. That's my advice if you are not motivated when you're hobbying. Of course, if you're professional, that's a different thing. If you don't like to make images, then you should not be a professional, in my opinion. Okay, I'm reading the comments. Sorry about here. And somebody is asking me, Mike Kosinski is asking me, who are my favorite photographers? As you can see, I like a lot of different photographers, but I would say that one of my favorite photographers is Albert Watson. And if you don't know him, please check out his website. And the reason is that most photographers are known for a certain style and certain genre, but usually if you try to do everything like Albert Watson has, you're kind of like a jack of all trades and master of none. But in case of Albert Watson, he's the jack of all trades and master of them all. And you should check out, he can master every genre of photography, and he's a magnificent photographer. Then another one of my favorite photographers is, as you can see, a book here. Maybe I'll turn the camera a bit around. You can see David LaChapelle's book there. He's a crazy. He made images, something that I usually don't, but that's why I probably like him so much, because his images are magnificent in a way, and you should check him out too. And then of course I like a lot of the traditional street photographers are like Cartier-Bresson, and then of course the what's the guy in England from England, Martin Parr. He's one of my favorites also. And then of course Helmut Newton and Herb Ritz and those kinds of, but they are from different genres. And I am myself, I've trained when I went to studied photography. I was doing portraits, so usually the portraits are my big thing. I like to photograph people, but as a photographer, a professional photographer, I have to do almost everything, and that's been a blessing and also a curse for me, because in Finland I'm known. My name is, people know me, but I'm not known for a certain genre or certain style, because I do everything. But I'm not saying that I am like Albert Watson, that I can do everything very well, but I've done okay. So in that sense, I try to accomplish everything, but that it's the clients that decide, not me. So many questions. I'm sorry that I cannot answer all of them. Let's see. It's a keeper, the wife. Yeah, I know. She's been a keeper for 30 years, a little bit, almost over. I'd say over 30 years, yes. And yeah, there's somebody saying, did I say, Funkyman says that the Olympus menus aren't very friendly for beginners or in the beginning. And that's true. That's something that Olympus should address and should do, to make the menus a bit clearer. But then, of course, let's see if I have any battery left here. But then, as you can see, can you see this? The super panel makes it easier to configure the camera and to use the menu. So if you press the OK button, and then, okay, here we go. Press the OK button, then you can have the super panel there. I don't know why. I just realized that it's actually a mirror image. All the text are like you're looking at the mirror, or at least I am. I don't know if you are. But anyways, and then what I think Olympus should do is to, well, wait a minute. Let's see. I'll press the menu here, and then we go. What's wrong with me now? Okay, is the My menu, where you can assign things the most used menu items you can store in my menus, and you can have 35 most used items that you want to store in my menus. And I think that's something that Olympus should actually have been, how do you say that, to have a firmware in old cameras that would introduce the my menu to other cameras also. I think that would be totally great. And let's see. Somebody's asking about the future of Micro Four Thirds. Well, that's an interesting question, and I think it has its place. I've made a couple of videos about it, in one in November and one in January, about the future of Micro Four Thirds. I think it's a marvelous system. It's a lot smaller. Yes, this is a small camera, even though it's a big for Micro Four Thirds, and of course the lenses are smaller, and I think the form factor is one of the biggest advantages, is because I know a lot of people that are actually using this because of the form factor, and you do not have to compromise on the image quality. But of course, if you only need a camera and need a lot of image making in the very dark situation, then of course this might not be yours. Or when I'm saying this, I'm talking about Micro Four Thirds. But I think it has a bright future, and what Panasonic did is what they did. And as I said, I'm not really sure that it's the full frame in Panasonic that will survive. It could be, but I don't know, because they have the problem of, because they have to have R&D on the Micro Four Thirds side and on the full frame side, and R&D is not cheap at inventing new things. And of course they can do some joint things that they have some same features in different cameras, even though if it's a full frame or Micro Four Thirds. But I would say that it will survive. And but of course it has to be top-notch cameras. They cannot make cameras on their left hands just get some slack and just thinking that it's, oh yeah, people are going to buy it because it's small. No, they don't. They buy it because it makes good images and you can have it with you all the time because it's small. And I think that's a quick answer to the big question. But there are 2 videos in my channel if you're interested to hear more about it. There are videos, so go check those after this. And then there was someone is asking that can decide between Fujifilm and Olympus. And okay, this is a tough one because, of course, I would say go for Olympus, but I don't know what are your goals in photography. And all cameras today are really good, and the best camera for you is the one that feels good in your hand. It's not necessarily the one that somebody says, but my advice is go to a local store and ask if you could borrow a camera or test it and see how it feels, because the way the camera feels in your hand is the most important thing in the image making. Actually, it is. There are a lot of other things, but if the camera feels good, then it makes the image making a lot more fun. And let's see. Yes, that is a Rode USB mic. I think it's called the Podcaster. And let's see. So, sorry, I'm reading the comments here. Yeah, somebody says that it likes Micro Four Thirds because it's somewhat like the old Super 16mm motion picture film, and that's true. Yeah, it's very close to that. What would be a good beginner Olympus under 1,000, over 500? I would go and check what the OMD EM10 is. Either one, the Mark II or Mark III. Or you could actually check out if you can get a secondhand, a used EM1 Mark II. I don't know what the prices are right now, or EM5 Mark II. Either one of those, I think, could be very good. Because if you can find a very good used camera, then go for that, because it's a good camera, and it's a lot cheaper than a new one. But of course, if you want to buy a new one, then I would go check out what the price of the EM10 series Mark II or Mark III is. I had 2 videos about the Mark II and Mark III in the EM10 series, and you might want to check those out. And it depends on a bit of what you like to make images of, that which one you might want to have. But go check out those videos. You can find them in my channel. Somebody says, Funky Man says that EM10 Mark II easily. I think that it is. And somebody said get the OMD EM1. That could be also a good choice. And somebody says that EP5. I've no idea about that camera, how well it performs, and I've never used it, so I can say about that. Okay, now there's 64 people watching. There's more people coming in. Maybe I'll stick around with you guys for a little longer. And if you just gotten in here or just tuned into my live on this Tuesday, is the reason that I made a live on this Tuesday is because I did not have time. I planned to make a video this afternoon, but the photo shoot that I was in was 5 hours late, so I just got a few hours ago I just got back home, so I just decided, okay, now it's a good time to dive in and try the live show. And I think this has been quite successful for a first try, for a real live, because there's 64 people watching, and I said in the beginning that okay, if 10 people will watch this, then I'll be really happy. But if there are any questions, please, this is a Q&A, so if you have any questions about photography, about Olympus, please. Okay, thank you, Bartos. I'm sorry about the names if I don't pronounce them correctly. I know it's bad behavior, but I just sorry if I cannot do. Thanks so much. Yeah, hello, Bartos, and thank you very much. All right, I'm leading. The line format's working pretty well for me. But oh, that's good. I'm glad. Thank you, because it's I feel a bit odd because I think that I should be talking, a lot more about different things, but I'm trying to read here on the comments and then answer them, because that's why it's a Q&A. So that's why I might have some pauses here. Let's see. Thanks for answering to previous question. Appreciate as the only listeners. How much communicate do you have with them? Actually, sometimes when they have a product launch, there are a lot of visionaries around, and then we do communicate. And then there are visionaries from Finland, and yes, we do communicate occasionally. But we could do it more, but it depends on the time. Everybody has their own schedules, but then we communicate a lot with Olympus also, and all these comments that you give here, they, if you have wishes and you have things, of course we take them to Olympus, and then they start thinking about making changes to cameras. It's part of the R&D, of course, the feedback from the users, and this is one way of getting feedback and giving you answers, and then wishes ahead to Olympus. So this is very valuable also for us. And I hope we can get something back to you also in form of answers, and you getting to be a better photographer after that when you're getting the answers and get more out of your camera. Where did I get the sweatshirt? Actually, this is from Spreadshirt. You can actually find a link where you can buy this if you want. And there is a link. I think there's a link in the description of this video. If there is not, I will check it out and put it there, because this is actually quite fun. And I try to make some more different ones, but I like the F1 1.2. Oh, sorry, Robbie. You were talking about EM5 Mark III. I don't know anything about it. I just read it today that there was an interview of a Olympus executive that said that they are developing the camera, and of course, the EM5 is still very, very valid, and especially the EM5 Mark II camera. As I said in the beginning of this live, when somebody was asking this same question, is that I really like it, and it's one of my favorite to-go cameras. If I go out there just to shoot for fun, I most likely will grab that one. And yes, I really, really wait for the Mark III. The reason that it is delayed is because Olympus said that they are moving the factory from China to Vietnam. So that's why they're probably building a new factory in Vietnam, and that's been delaying it. Okay, that's what they're saying, and that's the official news about it, or the official knowledge about what Olympus has given us. But to be honest, I don't know when it's due. I hope it's soon. I think they should do it soon, because the EM1X is only for or it's not all, of course, anybody can buy it, but it's kind of like directed to heavy users, professionals, nature photographers. And I don't think this might not be the best camera for a hobbyist. But of course, you can get some good images with it if you want. But I think EM5 Mark III could be a better choice. And I hope they launch it soon. Okay, let's see. Okay, somebody's talking about the infrared photography, and it's interesting. And if you that's something that could be nice to do. And then what it actually means is that the camera is modified to only see infrared light, so that it makes images that they look a bit reddish. But if you don't know what infrared photography is, just make a search in the YouTube or in Google to find out. It's a fun way of doing it. And if you don't want to convert your camera, you can have a filter to do infrared photography, and it's a fun and interesting world of photography. And if you have never tried it, just check it out from YouTube or Google what it is. All right, 66. The audience is growing, and this is great. Great way of spending time with you guys this evening. And I'm not going anywhere. If there is 66 people watching and asking questions, that I will stick around. Let's see, if you get bored, then just tell me, and I'll go away. But I won't leave if you're still here. I'll stay. Yeah, Pat Hagström says that the most popular camera on Flickr is iPhone 6, and the sensor size is quite small. And yes, the photography has changed, and Apple or Samsung is probably the biggest camera manufacturer in the world right now. I don't know which one has a bigger market share right now. I think Samsung might have. And I do a lot of photography with my cell phone, because it's always with me, and it's easy to make images, and I like to share them. So I just grab an image and share it. It's really cool. Okay, let's see. Well, let's turn that around so it won't bother me. And yeah, but how many of you guys? You're 62 there now. How many of you use mobile phone to make images? Of course, I know that people using it for making notes and stuff like that, taking pictures of certain things because of okay, it's a note for me to remember something. But do you really do photography with your mobile phone? How many of you do? Let's see. If Olympus gives up Pen F, is it the start or the end? Well, it's the end of Pen F, but I don't know if it's an end for Olympus. Hope not. I don't think it is. It could be a new start, and there might be a Pen F Mark II. And it's a funny thing that The Olympus Pen F is the most searched Olympus camera in YouTube. But still, there aren't very many videos about it. But people are searching about it, and they are interested in. But I don't think the sales has been that good on the Pen F. You don't really see the camera around a lot, and that's probably why they made the decision to kill it in a way. But let's see if they might have a Pen F Mark II, which I don't know anything about. I'm not saying that I know something about it, but that's a possibility. Oh, somebody's saying that it's Bartos again. In fact, when I bought Olympus camera, I stopped to use my cell phone as a camera. And that's exactly what I was saying, that when you have a micro four thirds camera that can make really good images, the image quality is great, and it's small enough to take with you. And that's what happened to me also when was it 5 or 6 years ago when I started using Olympus cameras. And that was a camera that I had with me most of the time. Almost every time I went out of the house, I had a Olympus camera. It was an EM1, the first EM1 that I had. So that's true. It can happen. Let's see, a lot of comments coming out. Okay. Yeah, somebody's making. Yeah, it's if the image is there, it doesn't matter. It can be grabbed or photographed with the mobile phone. That's exactly how it is. All right. Screen. Thank you, Raymond. I hope it was for me. Your videos and all what you post is great. Due to that, I have contacted with visionaries in Austria. Great. That's a good. Thank you so much. Yeah, I use my phone to document with photos. Yeah, that's a very handy way of doing it. Panorama photos, because for the gyroscope, Olympus should use this technique also. That's true. That could be because Olympus cameras, when you have the panorama mode, in at least in EM10 series, they have the panorama mode. It does not do so that you kind of like go like this, like you can do with other cameras. You have to make the images separately. It has some some guides for overlapping, but it's not a proper way of doing in-camera panoramas. But of course, it can help. But I agree that they should have the gyroscope version where you can just kind of like move the camera, and the camera would stitch the panorama together. That could be a great addition to Olympus cameras. Let's see. Yeah, blogging. Well, there is can't see the name. Well, some Imposter says that Olympus has announced EM5 Mark III. Well, actually, they have not. They just said that it's coming. It's not announced because it was in an interview, and I was talking about it. And the reason that the EM5 series has been a bit delayed is the fact that they have transferred the factory from China to Vietnam. And in Vietnam, they're building a new factory and that's why they said that it's going to be late, or it's been delayed for a reason for that. But let's see. I hope that they will announce it soon, because the EM5 Mark II is a great camera, and I hope they make the Mark III as soon as possible. Okay. Keith Hyder says, Peter, I have the 12 to 100 millimeter f4 Pro lens and wonder how much IQ would be lost if I move to having the 12. Well, the 12 and 200 millimeter lens, I actually made a video about it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a good lens. But if you don't need the 200 millimeter, then I would go with the 12 to 100 millimeter lens. And I actually have it already. So I would not get to 12 to 200 millimeter, unless you definitely need 200 millimeters, because it was a bit soft. It was a great lens from 12 to 100 millimeter, but then if you already have the 110, 112, 12 to 100 millimeter f4 lens, then I don't see any point of getting the 12 to 200 millimeter. I know I'm a bad salesperson for Olympus, but that's the truth. I try to be honest with you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So, and you had another question. Would be lost if I move to the new 12. No, also in the real advantage in having 12 to 14. Yeah, well, if you need the 150 millimeter, then yes, it could be. But if you have 12 to 100 f4, I think you're very, very good equipped with the lenses. And then if you need longer, then consider the 40 to 150 millimeter f2.8 Pro lens. It's a great lens. But if you have the 12 to 100 millimeter f4, I don't see any reason for you to get to 12 to 40 millimeter f2.8. Of course, it's a bit faster lens, but still, I would not invest in it because it's overlapping so much. Then I would stick with that. But of course, if you need in the longer end something, then either one, the 12 to 200 or the 40 to 150 millimeter f2.8 lens could be good. Let's see. So Black Warrior Lures asked me if I have used vintage Olympus lenses adapted to Micro Four Thirds. Yes, I have. I have a few. Sorry about. I have a few Olympus 50 millimeter vintage lenses from M series. Actually, I have one right here. This is the original M1 that was launched in, I think it was early 70s. And they actually changed it to OM1 because Leica was not very happy about, sorry about the light, was not very happy about the brand called M1. And this has a 50 millimeter M series lens. And I have used this one. And that's one really good advantage of Micro Four Thirds is that you can actually attach any lens on it with an adapter, almost any lens that's ever made. And that's really interesting. And then I have a cabinet there where I have a Helios 44 millimeter lens, which is also great. It has a funny looking bokeh. And then I have some, they're all almost 50 millimeter lenses. I think I have on some old Zeiss lens, which I used to have in way back when I had full frame cameras. I used to have that and they are all manual focuses, and you can actually program so that you can have a button for focus peaking, so it's very easy to focus with the manual lenses. But it's worth trying, and it's a lot of fun. You can get very nice lenses very, very cheap, and it can make really, really crazy looking images that are really fun. So yes, definitely try that. All right. Yeah, a lot of people are using for casual shooting their mobile phones, and that's really good. That's what I do also, because it's always with me. Let's see. Okay, yeah, people are talking about and giving advice about the lenses. And somebody said yes, and one advantage of the 12 to 100 millimeter f4 that it has a image stabilizer in the lens, so it uses the sync IS, so you can actually have one stop more stabilizing with Olympus cameras, which is quite a lot. With the body, with the what do you call it, IBIS, which has in Mark II, it's 5.5 stops, and then you have the 12 to 100 millimeter f4, which is one stop more. So you have really, really very well, what do you call it, very good equipment to make long exposures handheld. All right, audience is growing. We've been live for 55 minutes, and 63 people still here. That's great. I'm really great about this. I'm really happy about this. Sorry, my been talking so much. I've been start losing words, but I'm really happy that you're here. And the funny thing is about the subscriber count. It's been when I woke up this morning, it was 10,000, and I'm really grateful to all of you who have subscribed to my channel. It means a lot to me, and I'm really happy that I can give you back something, give back to the community, and teach you guys and help you guys and give advice if you need about photography, because I've gotten so much in the past from YouTube videos. When like 10 years ago when I started doing video, it was all about YouTube and other places. Of course, YouTube wasn't that popular 10 years ago, but there were still a few people that were making videos about making videos, and I learned so much about in that time the DSLR video from YouTube that it's been a game changer for me, and that's why it's really nice to give you guys back. But what funny thing was happened, it was 10,000 this morning. Then I went to shower, had my morning coffee before I went to the photo shoot. I thought that, okay, now it's a good time to post something on social media to tell that I had 10,000. And all of a sudden it was only, I think it was 9,990. So all of a sudden I lost 10. And then during the day and the lunch break I watched, it was again over 10,000. Then I got back home, it was less again. But then some analytics say that it's still over 10,000 and some say it's less. But let's check what this says now. Let's see what it says. Okay, it says 9. Yeah, I believe this one, 10,003. I think this one is. So that one is better. Okay, Sebastian Freund asked, what was my way to photography? Actually, what happened, I ruined a good hobby. I was actually studying economics at the University of Helsinki, and if I may, I will go a bit, tell a bit about family. I had 3 kids at the time, and so family need money, and I started making pictures, making photographs and selling those photographs and making gigs, and it kind of grew, and then all of a sudden you just realize that you're a photographer. And so that was probably the short answer. And then I studied a bit later. I studied photography in a school here in Finland, and ever since been a freelancer. And the best thing about it is that I've been able to do a thing that I love for work. So sometimes I really feel kind of guilty that when I go out and make images, I don't feel it's work. I think it's still a hobby, and maybe I should consider it more to be work. I don't know. Maybe that's a good or bad thing. I don't know. But that's the short answer. The image, let's see. Okay, that's an answer about the lenses. Very good answers here. Okay, Australia. Somebody woke up. Paul Ozzy woke up in Australia. So how's the weather in Australia? Is this summer? Because here the spring started in the beginning of March. But today when I woke up, we had this much snow on the ground and it was freezing cold. And tomorrow is supposed to be even colder. Athens, Greece. All right, thank you, Yannis. Great to have you here. Okay, no problem, Sebastian. All right. Workahobbyist. That's a good word. I use that. Great. That's a good word. Oh yeah. And then Paul Ozzy says that about Australia weather. It's beautiful, just coming into our winter. Well, we're just coming into our spring, even though, as I said, today it was snowing and tomorrow it's going to be freezing cold. And I'm helping a fellow YouTuber to make his video, so I will go and help him to film his video in the morning, and then I have to go through the pictures that I took today after that. So it's a busy day tomorrow also. So Miguel Desai is asking, what's the best lens? And it all depends on what you like to make images of. If you like to do portraits, then it's a portrait lens, and if you like to do landscapes, then it's, of course, you might want to have a wide angle lens, and then if you do bird photography, maybe you need a telephoto lens. But always the best lens is get the most expensive lens that you can afford, but don't overpay anything. So don't break your bank with buying lenses unless you definitely need and you can make money with the lens. But buy the best lens your money can buy. I think that's the best lens for you, because it's hard to say, because when I don't know what you like to make images of. In Birmingham, no snow this winter. Oh, so actually, about Birmingham, isn't there a very big photo exhibition or photo fair every year? Because somebody said that in 2 weeks there's going to be, actually in a week there's going to be a photo show or a photo fair here in Helsinki, which is supposed to be the biggest in Europe, because Photokina and Fotomässan in Stockholm is postponing their to 2020. So 2019, the biggest photo fair in Europe is in Helsinki. That's what they say, but I'm not sure about Birmingham, how big it is. Oh yeah, Montreal, Canada. It's freezing cold. Yeah, so still snow there in Montreal. Okay, so the Birmingham Photo Fair is this weekend. All right. Are you planning on going there? Any big names giving speeches there? All right, this is great. We've done an hour. Cool. This is great. There's still 55 people hanging around. Thanks for being here. This means a lot to me, because this I don't believe this. But let's talk. I'm not going anywhere as long as somebody's willing to watch my talking. Keith, you're welcome. Really glad I can help. All right. Still any questions? Okay, that's a great thing that you are talking to each other. That's really good. All right. Hi, Peter from Holland. So is there spring in Holland already? So you get to make some spring images of spring. And I don't know if you heard that, but we had the spring nicely started in the beginning of March. And today it was snowing, and tomorrow it's going to be freezing cold even in Helsinki. Wisconsin, USA, over a meter of snow, 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh gosh, that's a lot of snow. That's a lot of snow. Oh, thank you, Renee, for your comments. It's really great. I'm glad I can help. And then it was the same summer. I was, excuse me, at the age of 16, I went for a month to Eastbourne in England, and I wanted another lens. And for some reason, I got a 135 millimeter lens, and I started using that a lot. And somehow I just liked the way the telephoto shows. So I still not very familiar or very comfortable with very wide angle lenses. So that's why I've used mostly the 50 millimeter lens on my street photography. But I know like 35 millimeter, 24 millimeter is the so-called the most popular lens when we talk about the street photography. Okay, thanks, Paul. Really happy I can help you. Oh, you just did you get the 75 millimeter 1.8 from Olympus lens? Yes, actually I have one, and I try to use it as much as possible when I do portraits. The only downside of the lens is that it's a bit bit narrow, so you have to be, oops, excuse me, quite far away from the subject. So nowadays I prefer the 45 millimeter, because then you can be closer to your subject or your model, so you have a better connection with the model. Because of course in portraiture, the connection between the model and the photographer is the most important thing. If you don't have the connection with the model, then you won't most likely make any good pictures or many good portraits. But yes, it's one of my favorite lenses otherwise, because it's just marvelous. It makes great images. I like the look and feel of the lens, and the look and feel of the results what you can get with the lens. Okay, somebody says, Raymond says it's 10,005. Well, let's call it 10,000. That's great. Really happy. Thank you all. Woohoo! Yeah. Yeah, it's a good lens for landscapes too, and that's one thing that usually, as I said a few minutes earlier, that about wide-angle lenses for landscapes. But actually, that's really interesting to kind of like break the rule, the cliche, to have, for example, a 75 millimeter and do landscapes with it. It opens up a whole new world of photography when you do that, and that's really great to do, to kind of like break the rules that photography has. Even though they're not rules, they're just ways of doing things that can be broken sometimes and do things differently. That's really great. Oh yeah, it's 75. It's another fan of 75 millimeter lens. Oh, actually, my wife is telling that we're going to New York somehow or sometime. That's great. Good. Yes, let's go to New York. Oh gosh, that's funny. Oh, that's why I didn't know that. Some Funky Man says that 75 f1.8 is the only non-pro prime lens with 9 aperture blades, and that's true. That's true, actually. Yeah, I didn't never kind of thought of that, and that's probably why it makes such a beautiful images, and the out of focus area looks really nice. That's probably it. All right, 45. Now people are getting a bit tired, but I'm still here and not going anywhere as long as the amount is and questions is coming up. Oh, right. So I guess we're going to Syracuse and Great Lakes and mountains. That would make some great photography. Yeah, that could be an option, because I've been to States with my wife. We've traveled there quite a lot because it's a nice country. We love it. And then there is P. Palumbo asking about post-processing software. I use Adobe softwares. My favorite software is Lightroom for many reasons. The one reason is that it can do the database. It's a database, so I have a database of my images with keywords and GPS coordinates and everything like that. And it's a very good workflow with Lightroom. And then I use Photoshop as a plugin for Lightroom. So I have all my images in Lightroom, and if I need to use Photoshop, I just click my right button on my mouse and says edit in Photoshop, and then I make a round trip to Photoshop and edit the images and then come back to Lightroom. But if you don't want to invest in Lightroom, we were talking earlier it's been hour and 10 minutes. About 50 minutes ago, we were talking about the Luminar and Olympus Workspace, and then there is a software called Darktable, which is quite good also. So you might want to try that. And oh yeah, Portugal is a great place to photograph. Actually, we are planning a trip in I think it's in October. We might spend a few days but I think we're going to Lisbon. there's some conference that we're actually my wife is attending the conference, and I might go there and make some images over there. Okay, there's the ON1 is very good also. Yeah, that's a good image software or post-processing software too. Good. Very glad you mentioned that. I forgot all about it. Yeah, Photokina is planned to take place every year from 2018, but they postponed. It's not going to be 2019. The next one is next year, 2020, in May. And after that, it might be every year. I don't know. All right, still 45 people here. Great. This has been one of the best decisions that I've made, that I decided to make this live, and not stressed out and making video after the photo shoot that I had today, and then be late with the video and not be happy with the quality because I had to do it quickly. But I might do these live videos, let's say once a month at least, because this has been a lot of fun answering your questions and really getting good conversation on the chat, or whatever you call this, or the actually chat. It's been really great. Raw therapy, best free substitution for Adobe. I've heard about raw therapy. I think I once tested it when I tested some image quality. It had some special features that you could compare two images and on a pixel level, which I normally don't do. But I don't remember. It was a couple of years ago. I had something that I had to check out about the Olympus cameras and compare them. But to be honest, I don't remember what it was. But I think I used raw therapy on that. Oh, we're going. This is funny. All right. Yeah, great. A lot of snow in Salzburg. Is there snow in the mountains or also down in the valleys? Rob asking me if I'm going to do any videos about reviewing some photos. Yes, actually I am. And next week I will do a video about street photography, and then I will review your street photography photographs a week after that. So yes, coming up, and I might do that as a live when I will, or it's going to be live when I review the photographs, because it's if I can. Well, it depends on if I can figure out how to show my screen. Now I'm doing this with a webcam, but I might have some other gear that I might be able to share my screen. So but otherwise, if I can't figure that out, then I will do it as a regular video, because it's a lot of work to do film a 45-minute video and review photographs and then edit. But let's see. John, what's for dinner? Don't know. We'll have to talk about that later. All right, we're still 45. This is, whoa, great. Yeah, Vizcayo, I've done it a couple of times. Yeah, I did some images about live composite, and then I had one from about negative space. And those videos can be watched on my channel. So if you haven't seen them, go out and check those videos. They are quite long, but I did review some images about those subjects about a month ago, I think it was. Any photography type Micro Four 30 is not suitable at all. Don't really recall. Of course, if you need to photograph black objects in a coal cellar, then this Micro Four Thirds might not be the one to use, to be honest. And then, of course, if you need to have a huge prints, and I'm talking about billboards or sizes of a building, then this could not be the right tool. But then you might need a medium format camera for that anyway. So even the full frame could be too small for that. But otherwise, I don't see that you could not do anything. It's more of about your skills and about your look and feel of the camera. How you feel about taking images with the camera. Then in that sense, it could be could be very good. A good one about the, oh yes, cat in a coal mine. Yes, a black cat in a coal mine. That's probably not the subject. If you need to do that, going the Olympus Road. You made me going the Olympus Road. Oh, really? That's great. I hope you enjoy and don't hold me for accountable if you don't like it. All right, we're still 43 people here. That's great. And we've been hour and 15 minutes. This been a lot longer than I thought, but I don't mind. This is really great. Oh, you was a Canon shooter, and yeah, me too. I used to be, so don't tell anybody. But okay, I started with the Cosina, then I had a Pentax, then I had a Nikon, then I had a Canon, and now I have Olympus. So I've tried a lot of different cameras. But I think I'm very happy with the Olympus right now. So no need to change anything. But as I said, it's not the as I said earlier in this live video, that it's not the gear or the camera brand. You can make good pictures with any camera, almost any digital camera, apart from the first ones, because the quality wasn't very good. But let's say that anything after, let's say 10 years from a newer, you can make really great images if you know what you're doing. That's the biggest thing. It's not the camera that's the obstacle. It's most likely yourself. If you kind of holding your what do you call it, your imagination is holding you back or something like that, then that's the bigger obstacle than your camera, most likely. But of course, when you progress and get better in photography, you might want to get some better gear, because of course, when making images, it's a lot easier or a lot nicer to make images with a good gear. Of course, like anything, if you do anything, if you have good gear, it's a lot more fun. All right, Heiko, what do I need to help you with decide? I haven't tested Mica lenses. No, that's one thing that I should do, because I just tested actually I still have it here, the Laowa lens, which actually let's take that. It was actually this lens. I don't know if it's a mirror image or not, but I see it's a mirror, and it's a ultra wide lens, and I got some mixed results with it. I wasn't really pleased with the results, but don't take my word only. And if you're interested in that lens, just make some YouTube searches and watch several different videos. And if you have a chance to try it, it's an interesting manual lens. But Mica lenses are quite similar to Laowa, but I haven't tried them yet. No. Yeah, the Raymond says about Salzburg in Austria. He does a lot of black and white. Yes, in that kind of another thing is that usually when in nature photography you tend to have colors in, but if you start doing nature in black and white, it opens up a whole new world again, like many other things that you start doing a bit different and trying different things. And of course, the landscape photography in black and white is nothing new. That's what Ansel Adams did way back in 1920s, 1930s, and even later than that. But then, of course, when color films came and digital is mostly color, it kind of lost its appeal to have black and white. Black and white landscapes. So that's something you really interesting to do. Okay, you're talking about Heiko is talking about Sigma 16 1.4 or Suico 17 1.8, nearly the same price. Which is the right? What's the word? Dimensionary. Sorry, I don't really understand the word. But if you say, I haven't tested the Sigma lens, so I really cannot say about anything. Most likely, Sigma lens is a very good lens, because Sigma is one of the best lens makers in the world. and they really have great lenses. So most likely it's a very good lens. So it's more we go into the of your own feelings. How do you feel about the lens? It's a bit faster than the Suico 1.7 lens, so that could make a point. If you want a faster lens, then maybe the Sigma is better for you. But it's about look and feel and how you feel, what it looks, how the lens feels to photograph, and what the image looks like, what the characteristic is of the image. That's the things that you need to consider, because usually it's more of a matter of opinion than which one is absolutely better. Of course, if you want to pixel peep and start comparing the pixels on a pixel level, then you might find some differences. But in most cases, when you post the image online somewhere, nobody's going to tell the difference anyways. All right, there's somebody's going to Norway and trying to asking me about the settings about Northern Lights. I've only once photographed Northern Lights, believe it or not, living in Finland, and visited Lapland many years, 20, 30 times, but only once did I make images of Northern Lights. Usually it's quite dark, and if you have possibility to have something in the front, so it's not only the sky, but if you have something in the front, some village, some house with some lights, and then you have some trees, and then you have the Northern Lights behind there, that's a good start. And then what you need to do is to try to bracket your exposure so that you take different exposures. Usually the Northern Lights doesn't go away quickly. They will stay there for a longer period. So you might want to try with the f4 and see from the exposure meter what the exposure meter says, and use the histogram to figure out the exposure. But try to expose the image so that the Northern Lights are at its best. But it's very hard to say exact exposure values for that kind of images. All right, the audience is growing. We're still 50 people. That's great. And all over the world, there's been South America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, North America, Canada, USA, and so many time zones. So somebody just woke up in Australia and joined the live video, and in Finland it's middle of the night almost. It's almost midnight. And let's see if there are any questions. Yeah, this is great that people are talking and helping each other. This is really great, because to be honest, I'm sorry if I missed any questions, because I've been talking to the camera and the what do you call the chat is going like this. It's rolling so fast that now it's stopped for a while. And what's the funniest experience moment in your photography life? Well, the whole life when you're doing photography is fun. And what's been the funniest experience? It has to do with when I've been teaching photography, the funny questions. And then of course sometimes people are when they have ask me to make a gig for them or do photography for a company, they might ask you something funny things to do. For example, once I got an order that they needed to have negative slides. So they wanted to have negative slides, which was kind of funny. That was at the time when we do film or used film. So that was kind of funny. And then, of course, I've messed up a few things. Maybe the worst was that included that was actually a video shoot. There were actually 3 people that I had to make video about, and we went downtown Helsinki, and then everything was set up, and we were starting when I realized that I didn't have a memory card or battery in my camera. So that had to be done a week later. which was, of course, a bit embarrassing. I don't know if it was funny. It was, well, now it's funny. At the time, it was not very funny. Calibration of your monitor. Yes, I have somewhere. Well, it's in the back there in the cabinet. I have a Spider 5, and I try to calibrate my monitor once a month to get the colors right. But sometimes, it's a bit overdue because it takes time, and I don't want to sit at my computer just to watch it calibrate. All right, we're still 45 people. I wonder how many people they've been together, because it's been hour and a half almost now, and still going strong. I will stay here, no problem. If you still have questions, I will answer. But let's say that midnight, then I need to go to sleep because I have an early morning. So it's about 30 minutes. Then I just have to go. I'm getting a bit tired because I have a long day. But I will stay here. If you have any questions, just please roll them in. You said the light ministry, we need to get it. Can you? Would you explain? Okay, sorry, I'm reading a. If I remember well, you said that when using a light meter in studio, we need to set it to 80 ISO 80. Can you explain that or point me the video in which you explained it? Yes, I made a video about low ISO because I just happen to have all the OMD cameras that are on the market, and I made a video comparison. What if it's worth using the low ISO, which is because the base ISO is 200 on most of the Olympus cameras. I think all of them have. But some of the Olympus cameras have low ISO, which is extended, which is not kind of native. It's done with processing. Actually, the way it's done is that it overexposed the image a bit, and then it darkens it inside the camera, so it pulls the ISO lower. And actually, when it says 200 on the ISO mark on Olympus cameras, the real ISO is 83. So when you have studio lights and you need to measure with the light meter, then use 80 or 90 around there on your meters. And it was actually the video, I think it was called Low ISO, Extended Low ISO, Is It Worth Using? So if you can find that there. But the ISO it has changed from the era of film, because when you had ISO 100, every film that had ISO 100, it was pretty close to 100. But when you have digital sensors, it's a whole totally of different things, and 200 could be 80 or something else, but in Olympus cameras it's 80. And of course, when you have 400, it's something else. It's less. I think it's around 200, and then 800 is, don't remember. But DxO Mark website has all the information about the real ISO values of different cameras. All right, thanks, Peter, for your comments. All right, do you have any more questions? Please roll them in. It's been a fun hour and a half, and really great way of celebrating 10,000 subscribers, which is actually really huge. Oh, well, there's some funny things that I've been, to be honest, I don't know when I was, no, there was a question, actually, it's my wife from the other room asking me a question about the funny incidents in photography when I was locked in a cellar. But to be honest, I don't remember that. No idea when it was happened. So much. Sorry, don't remember that. Raymond, you have an old Tamron 80 to 110 millimeter. You need what is the mount on the lens? Because if it's an old Tamron, usually what they had was a adapter that was attached to the lens, and it was just a tiny adapter that was in the lens. and then you could change the adapter like you can now. So it depends on that. You can have an adapter for Micro Four Thirds and for the mount that you have in Tamron lens. And actually you could try that. And if you want to, if it's, well, let's say that it's Canon or Nikon, then there are so-called speed boosters that actually convert the lens. So it can be like speed booster 0.7. So it makes actually the lens, let's say that it's an 80mm lens, it makes it first the crop factor 2, it makes it 160, and then you divide it or multiply it by 0.6, and so it comes actually back. So the crop factor is not 2, it's actually a bit less. So it's more closer to 80 to 110 millimeter. And it's actually a funny thing is also that it makes it faster. If it's a f2.8 lens, it can make it to be f2.0 lens with the speed booster, which is kind of funny. But yes, you can. You just need to find out what the mount of the Tamron is, and then get an adapter. And you can get those adapter for a couple of bucks in eBay or euros. It depends on where you're from. Have I used a 5 and 50mm body cap lens? If yes, what are your thoughts? If you do not have plans of trying them? Yeah, actually, I'm the 9mm body cap lens I did not try, but the 15mm I did try, and I made a video about it. I think the name of the video was that worst lens ever, but it was a bit of a clickbait because it's not worst lens ever. It's actually sorry about that. It's not sharp, of course, but it's a fun lens, and it's I like it because you don't need to focus at all, because it's sharp from the edge to edge to edge, but from 1 meter to infinity. So everything is sharp, so you do not need to focus at all. And it's f8, so it's not fast. But let's say that it's a sunny day in the city or in the woods, and you might just walk around with the lens and make images, and it's a fun. It's a bit like a pinhole photography, but the quality is a bit better than pinhole lenses. Or pinhole, it's another, well, pinhole is not a lens, but you know what I mean. And yeah, it's a fun lens. But the 9mm I have not tried, but maybe I will. I don't know if it's still in the market because I haven't seen it anywhere for years. But my 15mm lens, I got it for, I think it was 39 euros in a sale. That's why I got it. I really don't need it, but it was a fun lens and a cheap lens. Okay, I need to go a bit back and see if there are any questions that I missed. Well, somebody's asking me, do you do photography for a living? Yes, I'm a professional photographer and a videographer, or not a filmmaker. I won't say I'm a filmmaker, but a videographer. I do corporate videos and corporate portraits and all kinds of images and stuff for corporations. Not that much for private sector. I mean private sector, but private people. So I don't have a studio anymore. I used to have a studio where I used to make images, portraits, wedding photography, kids photography, and stuff like that. But I don't do that anymore. I only do for corporate images. I will scroll back a bit. I don't know if these people are still here, but okay. Somebody says it's snow in central New York. A lot of snow. Yeah, that was John actually. Yeah. Oh, it's the 9mm is probably the best-selling accessory for OMD system right now. Really, that's. I need to get one or borrow one from Olympus Finland. They probably have one, so I need to test that. If it's very popular, then it's probably worth testing, because if it's popular, it's most likely a fun and a good lens in that sense. All right, this is going to be my longest video, and this is really fun. This has been overwhelming, the amount of people. I think it was around 70 when it's the amount that they were the most. But I I promise that I will be here till the midnight, which is in Finland. It's like 11:36 p.m. right now. So, but if there's no more questions, then maybe I call it a day. And thank you very much for being here. And I will see you in my next video. And thanks for watching. And bye for now. All right.